Good morning. Good morning. It is morning here. We are on the 21st day already of 31 days of Zen. I can't believe how fast it is going by, and down to the last 10 days. So this morning I've got Paul Davies joining me. I'm so happy that you're here, Paul. It's a long weekend here in Canada, so I will see how many are up and ready to join us. So as we continue on, today we've got Pilates starting with some props this week, and I'll be adding some tricks throughout the week as well. And thus far, we've had a week of yoga, a week of Pilates, yoga last week, and now we're back to Pilates. And for the grand finale next Monday, which will be the 31st day, I will be doing a fusion of both yoga and Pilates with a yoga Pilates practice. So I hope that you'll be able to join me with that. And yesterday we had a great day with, actually Paul was there joining Jen and I of Move with Jen. We had a really great talk about what it's like to be a yogi as well as being a yogi on YouTube. So she had some really good information that she shared with us. We had some great participation from a lot of other yogis, or not necessarily yogis, but a lot of YouTubers and some yogis as well. So it was really a great chat, nice and casual that we were able to have. So you can catch that on the replay. So far this month, we've had quite a few people that have joined me as special guests on Sundays. I've had Stephen B of Instagram, who shared with us what it's like to bring fitness to the community, and bringing fitness to the community for free, because there's so many free options out there, and quite often people are just not aware. And his mission is to take away all the obstacles for individuals to become fit as they explore options that are available to them right within the community. Alicia's here joining us this morning as well. Welcome, Alicia. Happy that you're here. Make sure that you've got your mat out and ready to go this morning. We are going to be using some blocks. So if you don't have any blocks, I would say, grab a couple big textbooks that you could use as substitutes, maybe shoebox, anything. And if you don't have a block, you could use a ball, a yoga ball, a child's ball would do, something that's not too firm. It's got a little bit of give to it. Even a cushion, a throw cushion would do the trick as well. So from here, I was just mentioning Sunday before we had Stephen B on. The Sunday before that, we had Tina of Beyond Yoga, which is a beautiful world-class yoga studio, getting some tips on not only yoga and her journey through yoga, but also her journey as a studio owner, and particularly through these difficult times that we've been going through over the last 14 months. And then we started off, kicking off the special guests with Yo and the Genia, who shared some amazing information for our health, for our fitness health, but also where we gain our power from, the powerhouse and the Pilates, or the pelvic floor muscles, which is so important. So all of those are available to you on the replay, so make sure that you tune into them. Next week, we finish off with a special guest. We've got Miriam Kilby, who is a lifelong fitness enthusiast as well as a yogi, and just finding out what it's like from a yoga student's perspective, as working in the bricks and mortar in a live studio and then moving to online, as what's been available so much through the past year. So she'll be sharing lots of information that can be really encouraging and inspiring to maybe those of you that perhaps struggle with maintaining an active lifestyle, or even if you're considering getting involved in a yoga practice. But as I mentioned, for today, we are working with yoga blocks. So a few substitute options that you can grab. And of course, you can do the whole practice without any props at all. So if you are still at the point where you're really trying to get the hang of the moves, and adding a prop is just another element that's going to make it a little bit too much for you, then don't worry about it. Get rid of that and just work without a prop. But I'm going to have a combination here of a foam yoga block, which is really lightweight. And I'm going to kind of go back and forth because with a certain exercises, I might choose this option. The cork blocks are much heavier, much more firm, and they're perfect for some exercises, and for some others, they might be a little bit too much. So I'm just going to switch it up and go back and forth. But first, as we begin, we're just going to start off with a nice, easy warm-up. And Eris, welcome. Lovely to see you this morning. It is morning here. And as we move on Wednesday as well, we're going to be using a prop. That's 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And for that one, I'll be using a small ball. So if you're getting a heads up, you can go ahead and maybe round one up for Wednesday if you don't have one available today. Today, it's just another option that you could use instead of the block. So let's come into preparation for warming up the body as we move into supine neutral here. So when you lay down, you may find that you kind of want to pick up the hips and then replace them back down so that the pelvis is nice and level. You want to feel as if you could take your water bottle and balance it here without it spilling back over your chest or without spilling forward over your thighs. So at all times, you want to keep the pelvis nice and level, except when I cue you to actually tilt the pelvis. And it's a great way to warm up the spine. We learned that the last time. As you bring the center back of the skull onto the mat, you elongate the neck to keep it neutral also, opening through the chest. And from here, taking a full breath into the belly, expanding in, and then exhaling through the mouth as you draw the belly in. Now, placing a hand on your abdomen can be that tactile cueing, can be really helpful as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, feel the belly draw in. And now hold the belly in. You're going to do that without squeezing with all your might. It's only about 30 to 50% engagement. But as you keep breathing, let's send our breath laterally. So breathe in, keep the belly firm as you breathe into the sides of your body, into your chest. So it's a nice wide breath into those lungs. And as you exhale through the mouth, you're relaxing your jaw to release any tension that you might have in the jaw, the neck, and the shoulders. So from here, we want to hold that engagement in the powerhouse. We're just going to move through our Pilates clock. As you start off neutral, let's bring pressure at 12 o'clock. So that's going to be a slight elevation of your tailbone, and then bring it back to neutral and bring the pressure down at 6 o'clock as you tilt the tailbone toward the mat. Bring it back to neutral and then back to 12 as you press that back waist into the mat, and then press tailbone to the mat as once again, and then bring it center. Breathe in. From here, breathe out. Bring it to 12 o'clock and then bring it to 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then 12 o'clock. Reverse it, bringing your pressure from 12 to 9 to 6 to 3 and to 12. So as we continue those rotations, moving clockwise and then moving counterclockwise, can you keep the legs nice and still? And bring it back to center. From here, you can bring your knees into the body. Give yourself a nice little bit of a hug and a massaging out the back. And you can make some circles with your knees here as you massage out the lower back. As I mentioned, it's a long weekend here in Canada, so lots of people are off work, so they might be sleeping in a little longer or just taking advantage of the beautiful sunshine. So I'm going to reach for one of my blocks. I want to make sure that I've got all of them within reach here. I'll just place them over here so that you can still see me clearly. And from here, we're going to bring the block and place it between the inner thighs. So you want to feel a squeeze. It's almost as if you imagine the engagement by rolling the thighs inward and maintaining your level pelvis as you squeeze the block and then ease the squeeze. So repeating that a few more times. Most of the repetitions that we do in Pilates are 5 to 10 repetitions. So let's go through another 3 of those, keeping your engagement. And you always breathe out on effort, breathing in when it's easiest. So as you maintain a firm grip here of your block, let's add in that Pilates clock by bringing pressure to 12, bringing it to 3, 6, 9, and back to 3. Squeezing the legs is going to help you to continue with that engagement of the block. So making a rotation one more time, clockwise, back to counterclockwise, and bring it in. From here, we're going to float the legs up to a tabletop. I'm still squeezing the inner thighs here. And as I hold the knees over top of my hips, bringing the fingertips by the ears, tucking the chin in as I lift the head, nodding the chin, looking toward that block, and then rolling through the spine to bring the head back down again. So breathing in at the bottom, breathing out, squeezing that block to make sure that I hold the engagement in my powerhouse. So that block is really a great reminder of maintaining the engagement, as well as a great strengthener for the adductors in the inner thighs. And from here, I can bring the head back down, bring the arms back, and bring the feet back down. And as I release the block for a moment, I can just simply let the legs kind of wiper blade a little bit to release into that low back, and then resetting. As I bring the block back between the inner thighs, opening through the chest, activating the powerhouse, lifting those legs, continue to squeeze that block as I tap the toes toward the floor, bringing the legs up and then tapping down. So notice my leg position doesn't change. It's not as if I'm bending the knees here to touch. I'm keeping that 90-degree bend and lifting up. So this is going to really force me to activate here to maintain a level pelvis, because as I bring those feet closer to the floor, I'm going to want to kind of feel the back lifting away from the mat. So we want to resist that. And I'm going to do that one more time and bring it back up again. From here, bringing the block up between the shins, kind of between the shins, ankles, as I hold on to it. And as I squeeze that block, I'm going to lower the legs. Now I can keep the legs bent. If it's too much to have the legs straight, by all means, just bend them and kind of play around with extending the legs a little bit more and just reaching. Because of course, the longer your lever is going to be, the more challenging it's going to be for you to maintain that strength in your core. So just getting our body warmed up here, used to the action that we wanted to take and maintain throughout the practice. So as I release here, I can bring the nose up toward the knees, a little rounding, a little squeeze, and let's take it back. So I can stay here, legs up, legs bent in this 90-degree position, tabletop, or coming down toward a 45. From here, I peel my spine up, the upper spine, so lifting up. I'm trying to get my shoulder blades off the floor here. So I'm scooping the belly in. I'm keeping my collarbones nice and open. As you imagine, collarbones kind of smiling, reaching through as I inhale for 1, 2, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 10. Inhale, 2, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 20. Inhale, 2, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 30. Inhale, 2, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 40. Inhale, 2, 4, 5, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 50, inhale, 2, 4, 5, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 60, inhale, 2, 4, 5, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 70, inhale, 2, 4, 5, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 80, inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale, 2, 4, 90, inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 100. And bring that in. You can release that block and you can take a big, long stretch here to just let that oxygen flow into all of that muscle tissue. Breathe in fully. Breathe out completely. Reaching for your block once again. I'm going to take the feet in. I'm going to squeeze the block. And I am going to continue to have some engagement. Hello, good morning, H. Bara TV. Welcome in joining us for our Pilates with a yoga block today. So as I continue to squeeze here, keeping that activation in the powerhouse, I'm going to lift the tailbone, squeezing that block firmly to elevate up into a bridge. Squeeze that block, keep those knees drawn toward each other. Slowly start from the top, working your way down to bring your spine back to your neutral position on the mat. So you always want to reset the spine to neutral. Breathe in, breathe out, lift it up. So you're using the glutes here. You're using your hamstrings, your quads, your powerhouse, your abdominals to control that movement. It's one of the foundations of Pilates is control. It used to be called contrology. So we have precision of movement, we have control, we have concentration, we have breath work, and we have real focus on execution of movement, precision with our Pilates practice. Those are all foundational concepts of Pilates. So it is, certain movements are done with a little bit more zest and rhythm, whereas other movements, such as this, are done with real concentration on that execution. So you don't want to ever feel it like you're going to drop your block in this instance. You always want to feel like you are using it. AJMJ, staying active, action workouts. Good morning, welcome. Happy to have you here this morning. It's been great to have you dropping into these lives. You want to check out that channel for sure. There's some great workouts there. And by all means, you can kind of give us a little blurb in the comments of what your channel represents. And make sure that you visited each other. So we've got one last one here. We're going to hold it up on this one. Hold. You want to feel that squeeze. You want to squeeze the block, squeeze the glutes, and let's add some pulses for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and roll it down with control, all the way replacing your spine back to its neutral starting place. And as you take the block away, once again, you can give yourself that little bit of release. You can even kind of stretch out the hamstring here. We worked pretty hard on that bridging, especially to start things off, and then switch it over to the other side. And as we bring our feet back to the mat, we're going to take one of the blocks, and I'm going to go ahead and use this foam one still as I lift up and come into a supported bridge. So you can have the lower setting. You've got 3 settings here. I'd advise either the lower one or the medium one. So maybe one higher where you're coming into this sort of a lift for a little bit more height. I'm going to stay here as we're still warming things up at this time and keeping my left leg bent as I bring the right one nice and long, reaching through the tippy toes. Now, if you want more activation here, you could actually lift up the other leg, maybe keep it on the floor, even more fire to lift it up. So you want to, I'm going to take my hands, place them on the hip bones, make sure they stay level as I start to make some nice long circle, nice round and movement here as I come through those leg circles, trying to keep my left leg nice and still and circling the other way for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and switch. Reaching for the left toes and circling in first. Again, pelvis stays super level for 2, 3, 4, 5. Take it the other way, making sure those hips stay stable. You don't want to be forcing or jarring into that low back at all. And again, last one here, and bring them both in. Give yourself a nice release. Bringing the feet flat on your mat. Coming back to your bridge, a supported bridge. Lift it up, sliding that block out of the way. From here, I bring the block back between the thighs and just taking the feet a little further away as I move into some roll-ups. So taking the arms right alongside the hips, reaching through those fingers, taking an inhale as I exhale, nodding in and rolling up partially and rolling back down again. Squeezing that block is really going to help you with your activation. So breathe in and breathe out. And continue on for 3 and 4, 5. Breathing out on the effort through the mouth is going to help you to relax your jaw. 6, 7. If you want, you could have legs nice and straight, still squeezing that block. 8, 9, and perhaps on this one, you're coming all the way up again. Your abs are hurting. Well, you just stick around a little longer, Alicia. We haven't gotten to the real burn yet, so stick around. So as we come up, so maybe if you have to roll yourself up through the side to come up to seated, we're going to use our block here coming onto the hands and knees. And I'm going to stick with a lighter block for now because I want to, a heavier one is going to be more solid and not tip as easily. So I want to use this block kind of as a cueing tool just to guide my body to make sure that I'm staying square. So coming into table onto all fours, we're going to come into hydrant here. So I want to keep those abs on, and I'm going to open out to the side. Now, if I tip too much, what's going to happen is that block is going to fall, and that means I'm creating too much of a tilt as I lift up. So this helps me to really isolate into the gluteus medius. And keeping my back still means that I've got really good activation in my core. So continuing on with another 3 of these. I want to feel that little bit of a squeeze at the top. And bring it in. From here, I reach out, and as I continue to reach through that heel, keeping the hips nice and level, I'm going to bend, really squeezing that hamstring, and then extend. So bending and extending. And this is more of a total body practice that we're doing this morning. But the entire time, you should be feeling those abs working to keep your back supported. So we've got another 5, 4, 3. So if you don't have a block, this would be a good one to have a textbook sitting on your back. And on this one, number 1, bring it back to your bend. Hold it here. Let's add little pulses. So it's lift and squeeze. So just squeezing into the glute here for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Bring that knee down. From here, we're still going to work a little bit more. So making sure that your block is nice and stable, hasn't moved. I'm going to stay in this table position, taking the leg out to the side. So extending my leg, keeping the belly supported as I lift and lower for 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and bring that in. So as I release here, I can take this into a really nice inverted V or downward dog to stretch through those hamstrings, ensuring that I've got lots of lengthening, pressing through those heels, so lifting the hips, pressing the belly toward the thighs, ears in line with the upper arms, and let's bring it back down to our table. So we've got the other side to go. So I'm just going to turn around here so that you can see clearly what I'm doing. So again, remember, you want to have your powerhouse on. Locate that centering in the back where you are keeping your block level. And Anton, I hope that you're keeping all those powerhouse muscles engaged here. You're going to need that back later on today. Got some work lined up for you. So as we activate here, reach through the spine, we are going to once again come into the hydrant. So it's an external rotation where we want to be using the gluteus medius. That's kind of around, it's the muscles that allow you to have that external rotation, and they tend to be very, very weak muscles. So we need to balance our hips out by working those muscles. A lot of the times we work on squatting, and certainly some of that activation in a wider squat, but we don't really necessarily isolate these muscles. So we want to do that with this movement. So again, it takes concentration. It's a mind-body connection, so you want to make sure that you are really focusing on the muscles that you want to activate. That's the beauty of Pilates, that mind-body connection. Bring it in, lift the leg up. Again, keeping that block balance, and reach through that heel and bend and reach. So we're breathing in and breathing out. Make sure that you're not collapsing in the shoulders either. You want to keep the neck nice and long, keeping it neutral. And reaching through. Feeling the squeeze. When you do the hamstring curl, you're going to feel yourself squeezing that muscle, squeezing through the glutes. And we've got the last two right here. One more, we're going to hold it on that curl, keep that ankle flexed and pulsing it for 10, 9, 8. So by really emphasizing the squeeze, it's not about a big movement, and keeping that block nice and still and steady, you're concentrating on the work you want that muscle to do. So really, really isolating, deep, deep work here. And we've got the last 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it down. Straighten the leg out to the side. Once again, keeping it in line with the hips as you keep the belly pulled in, and we're going to lift and lower. Lift, lower, and lifting it up nice and long for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and bring that in. Release the block, bring the hands out in front of you, stretch it out long. Oh, press those hips up and back. Broaden your upper back. So think of protracting the shoulder blades by squeezing them towards each other and then retracting them by separating them away from the midline of your body. And that's just going to help you to take the pressure out of the shoulder joint. And then from here, bring yourself back onto the hands and knees. So as I take one of my blocks, I'm going to go for one of the heavier ones here, and just staying in a seated position that's comfortable for me. I could stay sitting and cross-legged, sitting on a block, or just sitting or standing up on my knees, whatever is most comfortable. As I take the block, I start out with the elbows nice and close to my rib cage, and then extending out and in. Reach. Now I want to be pressing my hands really firmly into that block. So I don't want to be just holding it kind of willy-nilly. I want to be squeezing it and really firing up those arms as I continue that gliding forward and back. Breathing in and breathing out. Inhale and exhale. Squeezing it. Keeping the collarbones nice and open. So remember, you want to have a big smile through the chest here as you keep it nice and broad, nice and open. Squeeze. Now this time, as I reach and I keep squeezing the block between my hands, holding it out in front, I'm going to lift and bring it back. So lifting and lowering. Keep squeezing it. Don't let go of the grip as you keep pressing. That's where you're really going to start to feel this in the arms. And of course, using the cork block, I've got some more weight here too that gives me some additional resistance. And down to the last two. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Lift it up and bring it back. Bring it in. Bringing the block to the narrow point here. Again, I'm going to continue to press those palms firmly. I'm bringing the elbows toward each other. Maybe they touch, not necessary for them to touch, but I'm lifting them up in front and I'm lifting up higher. And I'm trying to keep them either touching or reaching toward touching. For 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Whew. Bringing that block overhead. Again, I want to have the arms, biceps are by the ears. So again, I'm drawn toward the midline. I'm trying to get those elbows toward each other as I bring the block between my shoulder blades or toward and extending, pressing those palms firmly into the block. Keeping my shoulders down as much as possible. So this is really a simple exercise, but very, very effective exercise. And we've got 5 more to go from here. Keep squeezing. Imagine you're trying to get those elbows to touch. Trying to keep your neck as long as possible. 3 more to go. And 2. And 1, and bring it down. From here, you can roll out the shoulders a bit, giving yourself a nice release. Bring the hands behind the back, open up the chest a little bit here. You want to keep that neck nice and long, breathing in with the length and breathing out. Shake it out a bit. So taking the block, placing it right at the center top of your mat. And from here, I'm going to start back toward the back end of the back half of my mat, and I'm going to place my left hand on, actually let's start with the right hand on the block. I'm going to take my left hand off the mat here. So I'm making it a broader, and I can stay on my knees to come into good morning, Barrett Fitness and Nutrition. Welcome. Happy to see you here. We're coming into a push-up from the knees as option number 1. You can take your left hand on that block and lower down here. Welcome. It's so lovely to see you. We're going to keep walking that. Now you can come up on the toes. And Barrett Fitness and Nutrition. You can tell us what your channel is about in the comments if you like. That way, as people pop in and out of this practice this morning, they can check out your channel. That would be lovely as we continue to build community here. And continuing on, so just switching the hand. And we've got 1 more repetition. Try to keep those hips nice and level. So whether you're doing this from your knees or from your toes, a little tricky switching the hands here, and then bring it back. Finish it up on the other side and come on back to the knees. Once again. Fitness and nutrition, of course. You know what? It's one of the best things is when the name of your channel just says it all. So if you're interested in more fitness, more about nutrition, because that's one of the areas that I don't really get into is nutrition, check out Barrett Fitness and Nutrition to get more tips there. I know that from the visits that I've had on your channel, healthy smoothies, and who doesn't like a smoothie? So we're going to go back to placing the block between the thighs. So you want to engage, maintain that squeeze, taking the hands and walking them away as you come into maybe a half push-up and or a full push-up. From here, we're going to just let ourselves come down to touch. So when I come down, I want to make sure I'm not arching the back, just grazing here, coming back to my plank. So push-up position and lift it up. And nutrition is such, I think, personally, that nutrition is 80% of our health formula. Exercise is amazing and makes you feel fantastic. It does great things for your mind body, but what you fuel your body is really what it's all about. Without that fuel, your body cannot perform. So it's really, really important to have the good stuff going in and learning more about nutrition. So from here, let's bring it back to our plank. Knees come back down, and you can release that block once again. So shake out the limbs here, roll out the shoulders, and as we move on, let's take it into a downward dog, lifting up, or inverted V, as it's called in Pilates. So from here, to enjoy a really nice long stretch, give the head a little turn from side to side. And as you soften the knees, let's walk the feet to meet the hands and slowly unroll to come all the way to standing nice and tall. Yes, we get our energy from the food that we put in. I have been, for the last 3 years, doing intermittent fasting. So because it's still morning here, I'm still in my fast. But believe me, once we're done, it'll be lunchtime. So it'll be time when I do break my fast. And I will be having one of those fantastic, healthy smoothies. Looking forward to it. So from here, I've got the cork block. As I mentioned earlier, they're definitely more firm and make it easier for balancing on. As I place my right foot on to the block and bringing the hands to the hips, I've got both feet nice and even here. So from here, keeping the powerhouse on to maintain my alignment. So I don't want my head to start to drop forward. I want to keep those ears right over top of my shoulders, and I'm simply going to bend my grounded leg on the block and lift it again, straighten it. So bending and straightening. So we start off nice and easy here. Again, powerhouse is on. Breathing in, breathing out. So I think that personally, intermittent fasting has been wonderful. It is really good for your hormonal balance. And I like to get my workouts in before I eat, whenever possible. And then I just refuel with the healthiest food that I can. Lots of veggies in my diet, but I'm not a vegetarian, although I do have lots of non-meat options, lots of nuts and beans in the diet. So from here, I'm going to stand nice and tall and take an inhale, remain tall as I take a step out to the side to come into a squat and pick up that foot again. Step it out and squat. So I'm either picking up the foot, maybe I'm staying grounded on the big toe, maybe lifting the knee up to add a little bit more challenge. So now step a deep squat, pressing those knees open as I come into my squat, lifting up again. Take a step to the side and sink it down. There are so many different variations of options. Exactly. I found that for myself, when I have the combination of non-meat options and meats, that seems to be the best balance that works for me and my body. I tried years ago to be vegetarian, and I was for several years, and I became very, very unhealthy. Now, it's not to say that all people who are vegetarian will have that experience, but for me, that's what happened. So as I reintroduced meat and was very much wiser in how I incorporated the meat into my diet, I found that I was able to really achieve a much, much healthier place to be. So from here, we're going to hold that squat. We're pressing the knees open, keeping chest lifted, and we're going to pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come on up. All right, so let's switch it over to the other side as we bring weight onto the left foot. And again, reset your form. Breathe in, stay nice and tall. Again, remember your alignment. So we forget about our head quite often, and in our society of technology, we get a lot of tech neck and head forward. So we want to reset that when we're in our workouts. So as we activate through the powerhouse and bring that right foot in line, we are going to simply bend and straighten, bending and straightening. So it's just a smooth up and down motion, and you'll likely find that one side is a little easier to balance on than the other. But over time, I found that with regular practice, they get closer. They may not be perfectly the same, but they do get closer to being similar in strength and in balance and in flexibility as well. So from here, as we come up, take a big inhale and take that big step to the side and come on down into your squat and pick it up, lift it up. Take a big step and sink. So I really enjoy as you tune in to these live sessions. I really like to have that interaction. It's nice to learn about, your channel, and for myself and anybody else that's tuning in to either now or on the replay. It's really nice to have that interaction. And of course, most of the people tuning in do, although not all, do have a special interest in fitness and wellness. So having that interaction is really, really valuable and very enjoyable. Birds of a feather tend to flock together. So as we work with that, we all learn from each other, which is awesome. So this is feeling like really much, much easier on this side for me. So on the next one, we're going to take a big step. We're going to hold it again, sinking down, pressing those knees open. So try to keep your chest lifted as much as possible as we add our pulses for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come on up. So let's shake out the legs. And as we come into standing nice and tall, actually taking the block, I'm going to keep on with the cork block here a little bit longer as I place it right between the inner thighs. I want to have it lengthways. I'm going to squeeze. So this is where you can have a cushion, or you could have the ball. Some of these movements you may see again with the ball, although there's so many to choose from. Perhaps not. Bringing the arms up, taking one arm alongside the leg and sliding it down the leg. Squeeze the block firmly as you reach up and over with the fingertips. Inhale to bring that up. Exhale and slide the other hand down. Now, as you come all the way up, you're going to take that block, place it between the inner thighs once again, and you're really trying to roll inward, and it's almost as if you're trying to shoot the block behind you by just that rotation of your inner thighs. So as you maintain that hold, take a breath in and then exhale, sinking down into a chair squat. Breathing in and breathing out. Getting really nice and heavy into your heels as you do this. Keep breathing in and breathing out. Once again, the time is ticking away here. I've got a few more things that I want to show you using the blocks. So from here, let's sink nice and low. Let's squeeze that block once again, adding in our pulses for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and take it up. Releasing the block, and from here, let's cross one ankle in front of the other. Take the hands to opposite elbows and come on down into a cross-legged seated position. So from here, I'm going to reach for both of my blocks, and for this one, I'm going to go ahead and use the two matching blocks. I've got one on each side. If you don't have blocks, you could just have the hands to the mat, which of course is going to make it a little bit more challenging, but it's still going to fire up those same muscles. So from here, I'm going to stay cross-legged as I really squeeze the feet in toward my legs, and as I press down. So I need to pay attention here to my shoulders. So I don't want them creeping up too much. I want to keep a nice long neutral neck. Again, staying open through the chest, pulling the navel to the spine as I lift up and lift those legs up and bring them back down again. So we're going to do 5 of these. So keep the blocks nice and close is always key. Take a big breath in and exhale as you lift, getting those feet off the floor and back down again. Breathe in and breathe out. Lift. And we've got 2 more like that. So breathe in, breathe out. And 1 more. And release. Uncross the legs, shake the legs out, and using your blocks still. This one I haven't practiced a whole lot, so not too sure how this one's going to turn out, but we've got the same principle. We've got the hands nice and close to the hips as we open the chest, hands on your blocks, as you lift the hips up and lift your legs. Maybe one, maybe both, off of the floor, and give it a shake. So from here, let's make our way back onto, we're going to stay up a little longer, just taking one block here. Again, there's so many options. Placing it between your thighs, hands right behind your shoulders. Feet are separated, so you're able to squeeze the block still the same way that you were in your supine neutral on the mat, and we're lifting up into a reverse table. So squeeze the block here, open up the chest, and lower it down. Just raising your mat, lifting up. Breathe in, and breathe out. And breathe in, breathe out. Keep squeezing that block. We've got another 2, and 1, and bring it down again. So again, shake out those arms. You might feel the load, the work in the wrists, so you want to make sure that you massage them out. And as we make our way onto our backs, once again, bring the feet flat on your mat, and let's roll it down. From here, picking up one of your blocks, and I'm going to go with the cork because it is the most firm and really gives me a lot of resistance. From here, bringing the legs to tabletop, I'm going to place my block right over top of my thighs, so right in the front of the thighs, and I'm going to push with the hands here. So I'm pushing as firmly as I can without coming out of alignment. So you're going to find there's a tendency for you to start to arch your back and kind of pop your ribs up. You want to avoid that as you push the hands into the block firmly. So stay at 90 degrees here. Keep pushing, pushing, pushing with your thighs into the block, pushing the block into your thighs as you hold it here. Breathe. Keep holding for another 10, 9, 8, keep pushing, 7, 6, really firm, feel those muscles fired up, 5, 5 more, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and release. Whew. Feel some burn there, lifting up to give that a release in those hip flexors, those quads, and bring it back again. So from here, I'm going to take my tabletop position and placing the block lengthways. So it makes it a little longer that way. And I'm going to make a fist with my right hand. So I'm pushing my elbow into the block. Meanwhile, I'm bringing my left arm up and lowering and lifting while I continue to firmly push into that block. Lifting and lowering. Keep that movement nice and smooth. It's a gliding kind of movement. So again, I've got another 5 from here. 4, 3, keep pushing, 2, and 1. Bending and bringing both feet to the floor. So setting up on the opposite side as I bring left leg to tabletop position, placing that block firmly, squarely. Again, I'm going to make a fist with my left hand this time, pushing. So I'm really feeling the bicep working here as I push, feeling some activation even in my tricep, certainly feeling it in the legs, the thigh, and my abs are on too. So from here, reaching right arm, right leg up. Keep pushing with the left as I lower. So this is really great for that mind-body connection because you are working the two sides, two opposing sides in opposing movements. So it's kind of confusing for your brain, but the fact that you're able to kind of reprogram it to do those activities at the same time, really focusing on execution on both sides is really amazing for not only your body, but your mind as well. So from here, we are down to the last 5 and 4, 3, 2, and last 1. Awesome. Bring that down. Open up the arms. Let your legs kind of wipe your blade a little bit side to side here. Massaging it out. And from here, we're almost there. So I think we're going to go a little bit over time today, but not so much that we're going over the hour as far as workout, but I did do a lot of chatting at the beginning, so that kind of delayed our start. And I do have a request from Paul Davies, who was commenting earlier on in the practice for some inversions that we can use the block for today. So a little less demanding than typical inversions. So we're going to finish up with the bridge, and then we're going into those inversions to close off our practice. So from here, let's have the block under the right foot, so it's firmly planted there as we lift up into bridge. Now I'm going to bring my left leg back to tabletop as I stay elevated. So I've got more height here, more demand to get up higher. So I'm going to keep the pelvis level as I reach, lengthening the lever on the left leg, for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring that in, bring it down, and lower down. So let's switch it around, bring that block underneath the left foot. So positioning it so I'm nice and firm here, lifting up again into my bridge. So I don't want to have my right hip lower than my left one. I want to keep them level as I come into my tabletop. And from here, I'm reaching along and bringing it in. Now, when I bring it in, I'm only bringing it to 90. I'm not bringing it into the chest, okay? Because if I bring it into the chest, I'm losing some of that loading that I have, and I don't want to do this. I want to keep this loaded the whole time. 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Bring that down and lower it down. So one of the things I want to cover this week is a few what are called Pilates tricks. So I have a video that's coming out on Thursday on just 5 of some of the trick-like Pilates exercises. But one that is not in there is coming up into more of a jackknife. And today we're going to be doing it with a block. So it makes it much easier to achieve that, especially if you don't have the core strength yet. So we'll start off in our bridge, but making it supported. And I'd advise you to come on to, if you're using a block or whatever supports you have, I want to get you to bring it up, maybe not totally to the highest setting, but certainly bringing it up to your medium setting. Or if you've got a couple blocks, you could stack the 2 of them to make it really solid to elevate yourself. And from here, we elevate up to come into somewhat of a shoulder stand position. And jackknife would actually be much higher, where we would be up onto the shoulder blades. So just give me a moment here as I regroup, but coming up into that jackknife type of position. So we're not quite there this way, but we still have the effect of elevating the hips and having perhaps more control here as we start to train the mind and the body to get used to being in this inverted position. So from here, we can then incorporate a bicycle. Now, bicycle in Pilates means that we bring the leg over the head, more over the head, as we keep this one more above the hip. So we don't want to necessarily bring it this way, but we're keeping more above the hip as we gradually switch the legs and bringing it up and around. So we want to keep those legs reaching and cycling. So really reaching through those toes as you imagine kind of the points of ballet dancers as you switch the legs, reaching over the head with one leg as the other stays more over top of the hip. Then we're going to switch the direction, moving the other way as we continue. So you want to be pressing into the center back of your head so you don't feel any pressure on the neck ever. Nice rounded movement again. It's all about precision. And bring it back. Bring those legs together. And bring them back over the hips, bending the knees and floating them back to your mat with control, lifting up and releasing that block. So from here, as we restore our supine neutral, you can bring the knees into your body, give yourself a little bit of massaging. All things fab. Good morning. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And we appreciate you being here. So we're just going to do a little bit of stretching here before we move on with the rest of our day, stretching out some of those muscles that we've worked today. You can bring the knee in, give us a little squeeze here, knee toward the chest. All things fab. Love to learn more about your channel. Why don't you just give us a little bit of a blurb here in the comments. Tell us what your channel is all about, your motivation, your raison d'etre, looking towards your right hand. You can close your eyes, feeling a twist. As we continue to build community, it's really great to have that little bit of a chit chat going on. Because if you're coming in now, you could take advantage of a little bit of stretching, but chances are that you are kind of passing through and saying hello, which is quite lovely. As you open up here on the other side, allow yourself to really surrender into that twist. Bringing me back in and giving that leg a little stretch here, a little circling of the ankle in one direction and the other. Thank you. Good. Happy to have you do a little bit of stretching with us. That's awesome. And then releasing. Let's switch it up again and stretch, circle out the ankle. Just nice and gentle way to bring the body back to a restored place. Lifting and lengthening here. Feels so good. Now as we come back to bridge, this time we're going to make it more of a yoga bridge. So we're going to bring the hands under the back and interlace fingers as we press to just get a really nice long length here through those hips, the belly, thighs, and then release it, bring it down. Stretching out one arm as you roll onto your side, taking a hold of that top foot to draw it in, bringing your heel towards your bottom. Make sure you're pointing the knee away from you. You can cross the ankle over top of your thigh and allow your chest to kind of roll and open back. Breathe in. And then let it go. And then switching over to the other side. So I'm just going to turn myself around here. And same thing. Bringing that top knee to a bend, pointing it away, lengthening and decompressing through the hip as I continue to roll the shoulder back. Again, maybe a little bit more of a IT band stretch, so in the outer hip, outer thigh, as I continue that release. It feels amazing. And then coming onto your back once again. From here, I take my right ankle, cross it over top of my left thigh, coming into that reclined pigeon or figure four stretch. You can have the hands behind the left leg, in this case, to pull and bring my left knee in closer and closer. And then releasing the foot back down. And I'm crossing the other side, same thing, pulling that in. So if you have stayed here or passing through or watching on the replay, do be sure to join me. Tomorrow will be a video on Pilates, and it's
By request, one of the viewers from the last time we had Pilates and we covered props requested to know how to use the props. So tomorrow's video is all about how to use the different props. And then on Thursday, it's about 5 of the top trick Pilates exercises. So from here, we uncross, we wiper blade the legs, and then we have another live on Wednesday afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, doing another Pilates practice, but this time we'll be using the ball on Wednesday. We also have live on Friday where we'll be incorporating some props as well as some of the tricks. So nice big stretch for the arms here. You can interlace fingers, leaning into one side, maybe even cupping the back of the head here as we come back to center. Just let the head drop into the hands as you gaze upward. So you bring the arms up again, reaching and lengthening to the other side. Bring it back to center and release those arms down. Roll out your shoulders a little bit here. Again, and shake out the arms a bit, shake out those wrists. We worked with those nice and hard today as well. So let's finish up with a tricep stretch on both sides. Hand to the elbow, push it down, lift the gaze up. Breathe. Let's do the other side. We did do some arm work. We really pretty much covered all of our major muscle groups today. So we got a lot done in this time frame. From here, give the shoulders a nice shrug. And with that, we're going to wrap things up. So I do want to thank you so much for your time this morning. A namaste to you. And I hope that you are ready to go, energized and ready to take on the rest of the day. So thank you so much. We'll see you